So guys, I'm going to try now one of the most famous cocktails here from Martinique, which is the diponche. So, cheers! Hello my fellow soulmates and food lovers, and welcome to another episode of Eileen's Kitchen Stories. With an area of 1,128 square kilometers and a population of 385,000 people, the island of Martinique makes use of one of its precious plants the most, which is the sugarcane. This plant was brought onto the island in 1635 by Christopher Columbus, and actually today we will be looking into how they use the sugarcane, because they make the most precious treasure out of it here on Martinique, which is the RHUM AGRICOLE, or also cane juice rum. We will be visiting a couple of nice distilleries here from this island in order to show you what RHUM AGRICOLE is all about. This style of rum is originally distilled in the French Caribbean islands, the West Indies, from freshly squeezed sugarcane juice rather than molasses. In the 17th century, rum was primarily made of molasses, which is a byproduct when producing sugar, and even today about 90% of all worldwide produced types of rum are based on molasses. The sugar production has declined, with most of the sugarcane now being used for the production of rum. The old sugarcane pressing machines that they have used in the early days, as you can see here for example, these were probably inspired by Dutch machines. And it's always the same method. You have at least two mills that grind the sugarcane until enough sticky juice flows out into the collecting tanks. And this is the foundation for the most aromatic drink here on the West Indies. Here on Martinique you will find 14 different distilleries that produce the RHUM AGRICOLE. The most renowned include the Habitation Clément in Le François, the St. James Distillery in Sainte-Marie, and the J.M. Distillery in Macouba. There were times when the wealth of a Caribbean island was solely based on the rum export of the country. And also that was the case in Martinique, even after the turn of the last century. The harbour of Saint-Pierre was full of oak barrels. Near the shore, many sailors and steamships anchored to get loaded and transport the goods anywhere in the world. After the revolution, many former slaves stayed to work on the sugarcane plantations. Work didn't get any easier, however, they had a safe workplace and they stayed of their own free will. Many things have changed in the 100 years before the millennium. The main export article is now the banana, and with certain exceptions, many distilleries are owned by major corporations today, with less than 14 from formerly over 100 distilleries on the island. One of the oldest rum brands here on Martinique is the RHUM Clément, whose founder started his empire in the 18th century. Located in Le François, the Habitation Clément, which is the historic residence of the family, is one of the birthplaces of the RHUM AGRICOLE and carries the culture of an ancient Creole sugarcane plantation, rich with French West Indian history, which has been completely refurbished by the Hayat family to remain a Martinican cultural icon for centuries. Now, while the old production site around the Habitation Clément is an outdoor museum now, thousands of old oak barrels still rest in the warehouse. Although the production site was relocated into the city, you will find a little shop and different rum samples to try after visiting the old mansion, the spacious property and the park. I suggest you wander around the park after you had one of the 12 different samples and find a nice spot to relax. And as you can see right here, inside of the Habitation Clément, you can also find an amazing exposition center with lots of artists that are displayed every 2 months changing. So super interesting and also a nice spot to check out. And now guys, let's try some of the rum. It tastes like rum, obviously, but it's very soft and you can taste the oak inside. It's an incredible taste. Really, really good, guys. The expertise and craftsmanship of St. James Plantation can be dated back to 1765, when it was born in Saint-Pierre-de-la-Martinique by the hands of the Reverend Father Edmond Lefebvre, who was a formerly very skilled alchemist and a later on businessman. The priest crafted different cane spirits such as the Gildive or the Tafia, and then later on he transported his lovely rum to the British colonies in North America. The rum actually was formerly named Saint-Jacques in tribute to Jacques Diel, who devoted his life to developing the Martinique island, but became St. James later on for commercial reasons in order to be more English sounding. It's the unique combination between innovation and tradition that led St. James to be one of the real pioneers in the rum category, especially when in 1885 they were the first ones to invent the vintage rum. In 2015, the St. James Plantation celebrated the 250th anniversary. It was marked with a week-long festivity in Martinique. Sweet coconut dreams. This one's 15 years old and you can really taste the age in there. It's quite strong, but also at the same time soft and mild, and it really resembles more a bourbon or a whiskey than it does a rum. In 1914, Gustave Crassou de Médeuil bought the J.M. distillery from the family of Jean-Marie Martin, and he carried on the tradition of making this beautiful rum. Located in northern Martinique at the foot of the volcano Mount Pelée, Habitation benefits from a tropical climate and particularly rich and fertile volcanic soil, which is excellent for the cultivation of exceptional sugarcane. The sugarcane grows up the face of the volcano and is exposed to the tropical sea breezes, which are important to ventilate the sugarcane. Here at RHUM AGRICOLE, they use pure volcanic spring water, rich in minerals sourced from the bowels of Mount Pelée. The purity of the water is a key contributor to the quality of this rum. And you know what's most incredible? They also have an olfactory workshop here, where you can actually smell all of the different flavors they have. And you can not only smell amazing scents right here, but you can also smell the different types of rum that they have. Cane juice rums from Martinique are labeled AOC Martinique RHUM AGRICOLE because French and European law allow the designation called Appellation d'origine contrôlée, which means protected designation of origin, which are only for rums produced on the island of Martinique that meet certain local standards. Wow! I mean, this rum actually has 15 years, but it tastes quite mild and soft as well. It does have a strong bourbon flavor, to be honest. It really resembles a bourbon, but it's not as strong as I would have expected. It's really nice. So guys, I'm going to try now one of the most famous cocktails here from Martinique, which is the tiponche. So, cheers! Very flavorful, you can taste a lot of rum, but it's sweet at the same time because you have the sugar in it, so it's quite nice. And then also a little bit of lime juice, it's really refreshing as well. But I can tell you one thing, if I finish that one, I need to have some of the water as well, otherwise I'm gonna get dizzy very quickly. In Martinique, AOC-labeled cane juice rums are usually distilled to 70% of alcohol, which is 140 proof in the US. And then they are watered down to about 40 to 55%, which is 80 to 110 proof, when it may be aged as little as a few months or up to a few years. But a rum, which is called or labeled AOC Martinique RHUM AGRICOLE, needs to age for at least 3 months. After 3 years of aging in oak barrels, it may be called rhum vieux or old rum or aged rum. I hope you enjoyed the stay just as much as I did being here, and it would be amazing if you subscribe to my channel if you like this one, and then also give this video a thumbs up, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next video, guys. Bye!